Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're going to be tackling the world of logistics, boxes and trucks and things like that.
Right.
Specifically, today, we're looking at Blue Dart Express Limited's Q2, FY25 financial performance. We've got a whole stack of documents to dig through, a press release, the official financials, an investor presentation, and even the auditor's report. So, no stone unturned here.
Buckle up.
Yeah, exactly. Our mission today, well, we really want to try to give you a clear picture of how Blue Dart performed this quarter and what that might mean for their future. So why don't we just jump right in?
That's good.
Okay, so Blue Dart, they posted a profit of $608 million for Q2 FY25.
Okay.
With revenue from operations hitting $14,485 million. That's a pretty hefty jump year on year, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely significant growth there.
So what's driving this success? I mean, are they just riding the wave of India's growing economy?
Well, partly, but looking at the materials, it seems like they're really pushing for exceptional service quality, as they call it.
Okay.
And they're emphasizing advanced automation and technology, not just, buzzwords. They're actually backing it up.
So they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly. They're making some pretty big investments, expanding their network, deploying new aircraft, building new hubs and delivery centers.
Right.
Yeah, specifically designed for B2B in e-commerce.
Interesting. But, with all this talk about a global economic slowdown, is now really the right time to be expanding like this? Seems kind of risky.
Yeah, it's definitely a consideration, but they actually address that directly in their reports. They acknowledge the global challenges, but they're putting a lot of faith in India's projected growth. The RBI, they're forecasting a 7.2% expansion for FY25. Blue Dart, they believe the Indian market's going to remain strong, and they want to be ready to take advantage.
So they're kind of making a bet on India's continued success.
More than a bet, I'd say it's a strategic alignment. They're actively looking for what they call structural tailwinds in sectors that are growing quickly. And, e-commerce is a big part of that.
Makes it. I mean, it feels like everyone's shopping online these days. So how is Blue Dart adapting to all this e-commerce?
Oh, they're not just adapting, they're diving right in.
Yep.
They've got these specialized services just for e-commerce businesses, competitive pricing, wider reach, real-time tracking. They even have reverse pickup options.
Wow, sounds like they're going all in on e-commerce.
Yeah, and they're even trying out some really futuristic stuff, drone delivery, AI-powered solutions, the whole nine yards. They know that to stay ahead in e-commerce, you got to be innovative.
So are they shifting away from their traditional B2B business then?
Not at all. They're still the big fish in that pond. They've got a really strong market share in both air and surface B2B express, somewhere between 55 to 65% for air.
Wow.
And 13 to 15% for surface.
That's impressive.
They're not giving that up easily.
Sorry.
Targeting new markets, catering to those smaller and medium-sized businesses. Right. Constantly improving their service quality to keep that edge.
So it's not about ditching the old for the new. They're finding a way to do both.
Exactly, building on their strengths while adapting to the new realities.
Now, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on. Blue Dart's focus on digitalization.
Yeah.
It's not just about back-end efficiency, right? It's about the whole customer experience.
Oh, absolutely. They're all about that seamless, transparent experience.
Okay.
Contactless deliveries, they call it. Digital billing, real-time tracking that customers can see. They even have digital sorry cards for when things go wrong.
Digital sorry cards.
Yeah, it's a nice touch. But what's really cool is they're using this 3 words technology. It assigns these 3-word combinations to specific locations.
Oh, I've heard of that.
So they can deliver to, even the most remote parts of India with pinpoint accuracy.
That's pretty incredible. Okay, so just to recap, Blue Dart's showing some really strong performance, smart investments, and a real focus on the customer.
Yeah, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with.
But, every business faces challenges. What are some of the bumps in the road that Blue Dart might encounter?
Well, that's a great question. And it's something we're going to dive into in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore some of the potential headwinds they might face and how they're planning to navigate them.
All right, looking forward to it. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back after a short break.
Okay, so we've talked about the big picture. But let's zoom in a little bit and crack open these financial statements, see what they tell us.
Yeah, get into the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. Where should we start? Well, the revenue breakdown's always a good place, right? So the consolidated statement shows revenue from operations. It hit 144,846 lakh for the quarter. But the number itself, it's just part of the story. What we really want to look at is the trend.
Right. See how things are moving.
Exactly. Comparing it to, previous quarters, same quarter last year, gives us a sense of their growth.
And I'm seeing some pretty healthy year-on-year growth here.
Yeah, definitely. But, revenue is just one piece of the puzzle. How efficiently are they turning that revenue into profit?
Right, right. That's what matters in the end.
Exactly. And that's where EBITDA margin comes in. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
EBITDA. Gotta love those acronyms.
Yeah, right. But basically, it tells us how much profit they're making for every rupee of revenue.
Okay.
And in Q2 FY25, Blue Dart, they're boasting a consolidated EBITDA margin of 15.56%. That suggests they're managing costs pretty well while they're bringing in the money.
So they're doing all right on the efficiency front, and I see their profit before tax for the quarter is 8,491 lakh. But of course, can't forget about taxes.
Yeah.
How does that impact their bottom line?
Always got to pay the tax, man.
Unfortunately.
So after taxes, their net profit for the quarter comes in at 6,284 lakh. Their tax rate seems pretty consistent with what they've had before, so no big surprises there.
Okay. So they're still making a good profit after taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But can they keep the cash flowing, to fuel all those investments we talked about? That's got to take a bite out of their funds.
Yeah, let's take a look at their cash flow statement, see what that tells us.
Okay.
In the first half of FY25, they generated 29,488 lakh from operating activities. That's a pretty significant chunk of change, coming straight from their core business operations.
Right. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, it is. But you're right, they are spending a lot on expansion. How is that impacting their overall cash situation?
Yeah, that's what I wonder.
Well, their investing activities, mostly that's capital expenditures, the new aircraft, infrastructure, all that, used up about 11,787 lakh in the same period.
Sounds like a lot.
It is a considerable sum, but even after all that spending, their free cash flow, the cash they have left over, remains positive.
So they're investing in growth without draining their reserves.
Exactly. It seems like they're managing things pretty well.
That's good to hear. And remember, they emphasize that zero debt thing.
Yeah, they're proud of that.
It really highlights their financial strength, gives them the freedom to keep investing without being weighed down by debt.
Absolutely.
Okay, so their foundation seems pretty solid. But what about their earnings per share? Isn't that the number that, investors really care about?
Yeah, that's the one they watch closely. And for Blue Dart, their consolidated earnings per share, both basic and diluted, landed at 26.49 for the quarter. Now, to really understand how that number's playing, we're going to compare it to, previous periods and what analysts were expecting.
Right, see if it meets expectations.
Exactly. Okay, so we've looked at revenue, profitability, cash flow, and earnings per share. Anything else jump out at you in these statements?
Let me see. Oh, there's this section on other comprehensive income. What's that about?
Ah, good eye. Think of that as a kind of a waiting room for gains and losses. They haven't hit the main profit and loss statement yet,
Okay.
but they could impact future earnings down the road.
So potential future impacts. Can you give me an example?
Sure. Like they're reporting an actuarial loss. It's related to their post-employment benefit obligation.
Post-employment meaning after retirement.
Exactly, like pensions and things like that. Essentially, the cost of those benefits is projected to be higher than they initially thought.
Okay. So not a huge deal right now, but something to keep an eye on.
Right. Remember, these financial statements, they don't just tell us about the present. They give us a peek into the future.
A crystal ball of sorts.
Kind of, yeah. And that's where the auditor's reports come in. They give us that independent verification, make sure everything's on the up and up.
They're like the referees of the financial world.
Yeah, good analogy. They do what they call a limited review.
Okay.
Basically making sure the statements follow the rules and there's no funny business going on.
And in Blue Dart's case?
Clean bill of health. Both the standalone and the consolidated reports from Deloitte Haskins and Sells, they give the thumbs up.
Always good news. So it sounds like Blue Dart is really firing on all cylinders. Strong performance, good financials, and the auditor's approval. It's a pretty impressive picture.
Yeah, they seem to be a well-managed company, but
Huh,
as with any business, there are always potential risks, things that could throw them off course.
that's true. So what kind of risks are we talking about? What could potentially derail their success?
That's a great question. And it's the perfect segue into the next part of our deep dive.
So we've talked about the good stuff, Blue Dart's impressive growth, their strong financials, all that. But you mentioned some potential risks, some storm clouds on the horizon. What are those?
Well, for one, we can't just ignore that global economic uncertainty.
Right. We touched on that earlier.
Even if India keeps growing, a global slowdown, it could still impact them.
Less trade, less demand, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And, even if India stays strong, a global downturn could still make things tougher for them.
Okay, so that's something out of their control. What about challenges closer to home?
Well, competition. It's fierce in the logistics industry.
Lots of players vying for a piece of the pie.
Exactly. And Blue Dart, they're up against, the big established companies, but also all these new startups. To stay on top, they need to keep innovating, keep finding ways to stay ahead of the pack.
Yeah, can't rest on their laurels.
And speaking of innovation, technology, it's a double-edged sword.
How so?
Well, it helps them do so much, but it also comes with its own risks. Cybersecurity threats, data privacy concerns, the constant need to upgrade systems. All that takes a lot of investment and expertise.
So technology, it's both a blessing and a curse. They need it, but it also creates new vulnerabilities.
Precisely. And then there are, government regulations, policy changes, the investor presentation. They mentioned the push for multimodal connectivity in India,
Yeah.
and those initiatives like the national logistics policy, the e-commerce
Well,
policy.
that could create opportunities, but also challenges.
Exactly. They got to be able to adapt quickly to all these changes.
Stay agile.
And of course, we can't forget about the rising costs. Fuel, labor, all those essential inputs.
Yeah, that's something every business is grappling with these days.
Keeping those costs under control, it's going to be crucial for Blue Dart, especially in such a competitive market.
It sounds like they've got a lot to contend with. But from what we've seen, they seem to be approaching these challenges strategically.
Yeah, they are. They've got this a clear roadmap for the future. They want to, maintain their market leadership, keep expanding, invest in their people, all while embracing sustainability.
So it's not just about profits. It's about doing business responsibly, building a sustainable future.
Exactly. It's about the long game.
Well, after this deep dive, I'm feeling, cautiously optimistic about Blue Dart's future. They've got a strong track record, a clear vision, and they seem to be adapting well to the changing landscape.
I agree. There are definitely challenges ahead, but they seem well equipped to handle them. They're adaptable, innovative, and they're really focused on the customer. All good signs for the future.
It'll be interesting to see how they continue to evolve and adapt as the logistics industry keeps changing and growing.
Definitely.
And for you, our listener, the key takeaway here is this. Even with all the uncertainty in the world, a focus on strategic execution, on creating an exceptional customer experience, and on sustainable growth, those are the things that can lead to lasting success.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And as always, we encourage you to, keep learning, keep asking questions, explore different perspectives. The business world is never static, and the more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to navigate its complexities.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.